Alex, how you doing, buddy? Um, Little message. You've had one of these before. I've done one of these. I've done a sort of, it's a bit of a rubbish video, but I did it specifically for you. Um, and it's on receiving the ball when you're playing at centre back. I've only sent it to you, and I think I've sent it to Charlie. Hopefully, you'll understand it. So I love watching you play for Yule, and obviously, I've seen it a couple of times this year. And I'm watching you and Bobby much more than I should be. But it's really nice to see everything and see how you change and how it goes into your game. First game, I thought that there are times when you attack the ball. So it's really difficult when you play your position because parents, not just AFC All parents, I don't know the AFC All parents, hopefully they're lovely and the same at One Gas, I'm sure they are. But our lot, and most lots, whenever it goes near a defender, you hear, get it out, which is actually terrible advice if you want to play at any kind of level playing at the back. The game's changed so much. It's so much harder to be a defender now, but it's a lot more fun too. There are times in the first game where I saw you going at the ball to control it or to take that first touch forwards. And the next thing, particularly when you play 11 aside, this becomes really pertinent next year. When the ball comes at you, it's really being aware of where the space is. Is the space down at right back? Could I take a touch, open my body out and take that touch on my chest, whatever body part, where height the ball's coming at you, and turn out and make my first touch go that way? Now I've got the option to play out the wing. I've got the option to go back to my goalkeeper. If I'm going to do that, I'm going to sprint back and open out. But just that scanning, that constant thing, this is the difference. I play with a fantastic player, even now at Vets. So we play in an old man football and he's sensational because he's so aware of the space behind him. So he's aware when the ball comes at me, I can leave that one. I can let that one run through because I've got the gap into my goalkeeper. Or I can actually leave that and run around and go and play. I can play out to my right back. It's going to change because you're going to have a full back both sides and another centre half minimum when you play next year. But that constant thing of not going at the ball. In the second game, there was a little moment where you exchange passes. Is it Jambo, your other defender? Sorry, Jambo, if I've got the wrong name there. But there was a little moment. I think Zachary was closing you down and you just passed it to the side to Jambo, received it again, saw that Zach was coming at you and you played it again. That level of calm was so good to watch. I'm not supposed to be cheering for you in those games, but it made me really, really happy. And this is the next level of that. It's just constantly being aware of where that space is when you're playing at centre-back. Allowing the ball to go, allowing your first touch to go there to give you a bit more time. Keep the ball, play that pass. You can do everything. Everything. You're really honest, so there's just a willingness for you to go at the ball and to attack everything. Brilliant starting point to work from. It's fantastic. It's just product of who you are. The next thing is to really get cerebral with it and constantly be aware of where you are on the pitch. And then you can keep playing that football. You can keep the ball, get on the ball because you're so capable. If you're attacking it and going hell for leather the whole time, you are going to have more missteps, more touches that are going to go towards the attacker. Just find that calm, find the space, play out. Other than that, I could gush about you for ages. I just think you're an absolute diamond. I'm very worried and I could see all the insecurity over all the boys at Key Sports, at Futsal. People are changing, but I'm so glad that you are not. It is so nice to hear a kid turn around to you and just say, I love this exercise. Your maturity is really unusual, but you're just an absolute diamond. Absolutely love having you in the group. So I will say don't change again. I don't think you're going to. You're doing brilliantly. We absolutely love having you and see you very soon. See you, buddy. Bye. We've done this loads at Futsal. George can show us. Just move it around, George, and I'll talk through it. You can see that he's just getting used to these little movements. Out to the side, to orange, and then forward to blue. That one is the really difficult one. He moved his right foot forward so he can go red X. Oh, beautiful, George. Really, really can see how hard that is. It's fine. Totally fine to lose that control. It's not about whether you can or you can't do these things. I heard lots of you say, oh, I can't do that one when George goes behind and goes to the red. If he puts his right foot forward, do that difficult one for us, George. Really difficult, that movement. But my goodness, you did a brilliant job there. Lose control a bit. It's not that you can't do it, your body's just not used to it. Your body will get used to it with all that practice. But this is just so good to get your feet used to these little movements. we've just got this habit when we're practicing our football to use in movements that are big lunges, big steps, constantly moving the ball to whack it, to shoot it, to hit big passes. This is how you increase your technique. This is how you get better. These little movements, putting your body in unfamiliar situations, is how you get really good footwork. George is actually doing a brilliant job here. But just go at the speed that's good for you. This is so good. I would do it over and over again. Have a little go on your less favourite foot, George.
Okay.
Very good. Yeah. Just going to get stronger and stronger doing this. It's a balance, really. All about that standing foot and that balance. But this is so good. If there's only one exercise that you do when you're on your own, this is the one that I choose. Practice over and over again. That's fantastic on your weak foot. Really, really good. Thank you, George. But please do practice this one. We'll come back to it again and again in our warm-ups to get our footwork really sharp. Well done, George.
Okay, so this is for you boys who are playing a lot at the back, and it's for your transition to 11-a-side. Now, what happens if we imagine I'm playing centre-back, when the ball comes at me, we're going at the ball the whole time. If you throw the ball at me, George, I'll just show you. Control the ball. At the ball, attack, ready to play. Do a couple more, George. Mark B. Throw it down. Attack and play. And just the next level of this is to get really aware. As you see these two codes, I'm going to imagine that these are defenders. See those, George? I'm going to imagine that they're attackers coming at me. Just want you to get used to the ball coming at me and using the outside of my foot to get away, okay? And moving into the space, having the option to go back to my goalkeeper. One more. And then the other way. Just practicing that movement over and over again. You've got that comfort when you can go away, you can clear out, you can go back to your goalkeeper, but constantly practice moving into a space so you're not attacking the ball, going at the ball, using that touch to get away. Where's the space? Scan. Can I come back here? Move away from that attacker, go back to my goalkeeper, then open out and see the pitch properly. But it's all in those movements, being really smart so we don't just see an attack, go at the ball, and possibly lose it to those attackers who are coming at us. We're really scanning, looking, can I drop out here, take a touch, go back to my goalkeeper, open out and get ready to play again. It's such a big thing that for you when you move into 11-a-side. Just having not always attacking the ball, going at it, looking to clear, looking to go forward with our first touch, which you've done brilliantly. We've taught you so much about using that attack foot. In the defender, it's all about that calm, looking over my shoulder going, okay, the space is towards right back. I can move down there. Is the ball up the line on? No. I'll go back to my goalkeeper and play out. Just throw one more at me, George. So I look, I can see space here, I can see space here. Let's see where the ball comes at me. Towards my left side, I'm going to take it out, look for that channel pass, is it on? No, I'm going to come back, and then I'm going to work back and get in position to receive the ball again. But it's that next level, scanning the whole time. Where's the space? Can I play out? Good, thank you.
This one's a little bit harder. Hang on a second, George. Just about change of direction again and selling that move. George is going to show us this slowly and then we'll take you through it. We've not done this one at futsal yet, so we'll take our time with it a little bit. George is going to put his foot on the ball as if he's coming towards me. Roll, stop it against his foot, and then he's going to go back the other way. Excellent demonstration, George. Well done. So it's all about selling as if he's dribbling towards me, and then he's going to plant that foot down to stop the ball and go back the other way. Let's see if we can do it a tiny bit quicker, and we'll have a few goes, George. Drag and then take it away. Really nice, really nice. You have to do this really slowly just to get used to that movement. Once you drag, your foot comes over and stops the ball. Have another couple of goes, George. Really good. Whoa, it's definitely sold that. Lovely to see that right shoulder coming down. Love that, the drop of the shoulder, come down and then push away, coming back the other way. Have another go. Lovely. Lovely little sharp movement of the ball. Get away. Good, thank you, George. Very, very difficult to do this on your less favourite side, but you do have to practice. Have a go, George. It'll be probably hard, but slow it down. All right, have another go. Slow down the movement on the ball. Just get used to your body doing it. Very good. There you go. And then you can quicken up as you get more comfortable. As George feels, there you go. That's beautiful. As with all these things, when you're on your own, the key thing is to practice. It's so funny. I said this before, but even when we're in the garden on our own, we get self-conscious. And we shouldn't. So George, when he's on his own, should be practicing on this side because it's the one that he finds really hard. There's no one watching. There's nothing to be... Well, you should be trying it at futsal because we're never going to have a go at you and no one's going to criticise you. We want you to try the things that are really difficult. It's going to make such a difference to your game if you keep practicing those things that are difficult, and that means going on your less favourite side all of the time. Really good stuff, George. Well done. Okay, so we have done the scoop and we started doing it in our last session. George, just show us. It's really difficult to explain. I think the best way is George puts his hand on the floor next to the ball. Now, what George is not going to do is ram his fingers under the ball, break his fingers, and he's not going to lift the ball doing that. It will barely come off the floor. So what would George need to do to lift the ball? He's got to put his fingers slowly under the ball, curl them, and then lift the ball up. Not going to hurt his fingers, and he gets a lovely little bit of lift on that ball. We actually need to do the same thing with our toes. It took me ages as a kid to get used to this. Slowly lift, and your toes are going to do that same thing. So let's see what it looks like with your feet. Because if George just rams his foot under the ball, show us what that looks like. He doesn't get much of a lift. You're going to hurt your toes. Let's see what it looks like. And you won't get that same amount of control. The beautiful thing, same with your fingers, is when you slowly lift with those toes. Show us, George. Oh, lovely. You're much more in control as how much lift you get. And in futsal, most of the time, we'll work on lift passes the more we go through the sessions, actually, this term. But all you really want to do is, if I get a foot there, is just lift it away from that outstretched leg. Beautiful. It's such a good way of beating your player. I absolutely love doing this, even out of futsal. I'm in a tight spot and we're playing out on grass. You guys are playing on your Saturdays, Sundays. It's such a good way of evading those tackles. It's so difficult for defenders. Even when you're squeezing between two defenders, you can lift the ball. So all you want is that little bit of elevation. We've got these little cones here. It only needs to go that high to get away from your defender. And George can lift. Beautiful. And he's away. That's perfect amount. If you scoop it too much, the ball's in the air, gives the defender a chance to recover. Yeah, that's not going to work. Looks lovely. And it might work for a longer pass, which again will work on this term. But actually all he wants to do is lift and get away. So show us lift and get away, and maybe get a shot off this time, George, if I come around. Lovely lift. And a great strike. Super. Thank you, George. There are two things, I think. Well, this one being number one, actually. When we're doing our futsal, your first touch needs to enable your second touch. And all that means is, if I hit the ball at George, and he's going to control the ball, okay? Now, I remember getting taught as a kid to control the ball by stopping it dead, and that's not what we want to do. I'm going to show you what I mean. George, I'm going to hit the ball to George. George now cannot do anything. The ball is stuck underneath him, so he's got to now move it in order to dribble, shoot, pass. So George, let's have another go. That's a position we don't want to get in. And yes, we do want you to use the bottom of your feet, but I'll show you what futsal players do every time when they control the ball. They stop the ball, but it's one continuous movement. They then move it so they can do everything that they want to, or anything that they want to do with their second touch. If I hit to George, there, just use the bottom of his foot to roll the ball away. And that meant that George can now shoot, pass, dribble, but all three of those should be an option for you. We've spent loads of time, so if I get George to do it on his attack foot, so you're going to go that way on your attack foot. Lovely. That isn't always going to be an option. It's what we want you to try and do if you can, is to open your body. It's what we spent a whole term doing, getting you to move on your attack foot. It might not always be an option. So it may be that you need to turn it a different direction. But what we've got to make sure we do is we don't get the ball stuck under us. Show us what that looks like, George. He's got, really difficult now for George to move out of that position. Unless he can do the futsal roll in one movement and get himself away. But let's just try a few different versions of George. Just first of all, try at the bottom of the foot, move away, futsal style. Lovely. And then he can play. And you can take that into a movement. You can hit it let's see what that looks like. I'm going to hit it to you, shift, and then you can shoot, pass, do whatever you want to do. Lovely. What are the other versions of this? So I'm going to hit it to you, try and use different part of your foot to enable you to have that second touch. There you go, outside of the foot. Can we go the other way? Good, a little bit stuck under you. Let's get that one out of your feet. The key thing, George, come here a minute. So if we go back to our cones, George is on the spot. You actually want that, he doesn't want that ball stuck right underneath him. He needs that first touch to get him out of the cone. So I'm going to pass you the ball, George. And you just want that first touch to take you away. Lovely. And out and ready to play. So on the move, ready to play with the option to dribble, pass or shoot. Lovely, lovely little shift. It's so simple this, but I would say it's the number one area where we're getting a bit stuck in our futsal. So simple, but just constantly work on it. My first touch is what allows, almost like an assist for your second touch, allows you to do anything you want to with your second. Dribble, pass, shoot. One more, George. Lovely. Good, just practice it relentlessly. Thank you, George.